Yes, it's Destination Uri, the morning program. Thrilled once again to welcome a man of the world of the internet, George Kingsnorth from Gullion Media and other outlets. You'll tell us about that in a moment up there in Drummondtee. But it's an extraordinary enough thing, George, and folk out there, I think, to see modernity take shape in the way people do their business. Once upon a time there was no internet, then came internet, then came George without the internet. Now there's George with the internet. So the educator is taking the tool of the internet and using it to bring his online courses across the world. Good things are happening, George.
Yeah, they're developing. We're seeing revenues increase month on month. We're learning skills to do with marketing and researching what we need to do to improve that. The key thing, I think, for everything you do, especially using social media, is to show people that you have something to offer them. And it's not about selling, it's just basically helping people. Yeah. I think that's really what the educational side of things is.
Kind of sells itself, doesn't it? If you're caring for people and caring about bringing them on, they will automatically see the value in it and they'll want to do it.
Absolutely, and I think that's the key thing to do. We're experiencing a lot of people who are connected to Udemy. Udemy is the platform that we're currently using.
Yeah, I think we should spell that for people because it can be confusing.
Yes.
Y-O-U?
No, it's U-D-E-M-Y for Udemy.
U-D-E-M-Y,
Udemy.com. Whereas my company is U-Tree, which is Y-O-U-T-R-E-E.TV.
But it's there for you, and tell the people of what you've done so far.
Well, at the moment we've produced 4 courses. The first one was on developing story ideas for video, that takes you through generating ideas through to producing an animatic, but not the actual finished video. The second one was on how to edit drama using Adobe Premiere, and then we produced a third one on the anatomy of photography, mainly digital photography, to get people to understand some of the features within their own cameras. And the fourth one was how to edit documentary style using Final Cut Pro X. So for those people that are using Apple products.
Yeah.
We are seeing that the technology is changing quite dramatically. Like you've got a massive camera over there you're filming, which is about that size.
Yes, indeed.
People are using their mobiles that are about that size, and they're adding gadgets to it, which is kind of interesting, but it's what you do with that material. A lot of people think it's kind of cheaper because you're using a smaller product. You can capture 4K images using your mobile phone. The difficulty is that the mobile phone's hard drive will get filled up very quickly.
Yes.
Like I was mentioning to you, I shot something up in Stormont yesterday, and I shot 80 minutes worth of material, broadcast quality HD material.
My goodness.
And that was around about 32 gigabytes of memory was eaten up by that. So I then had to transfer that. But although I'd spent 3 hours filming, when I came back home, I then had to ingest the material into my hard drive, add data onto it so I could render it out and then upload. And that took another 3 or 4 hours.
Yes, of course.
So what looked like half a day's work turned into a full day's work. And a lot of people don't realize how much effort actually goes into producing, even a short video, maybe 3 or 4 minutes long. It can actually take you a good weeks of work putting all the effort into that.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're totally from a time when we all wondered about digital, going digital. We felt no, it'll never happen. Ektachrome film was the thing that we would have used. 35 millimeter Ektachrome, that sort of iconic Kodak product. But now we're into digital, and there is nothing else. Talk to me about the permanence of the images you're capturing. If something was to go wrong in the digital world, are we in danger of losing the entire photographic record of quarter a century?
There is that potentially. We're entering a strange time because they're looking at using nuclear power again, for nuclear energy. But if you actually set off an EMP, an electric magnetic pulse, you wipe out all the electricity and everything shuts down.
Yes.
But there is the possibility. Now, I don't know what happens when you actually reboot your computers, if you can reboot the computers and things, but there is the potential that if you, remagnetize your hard drives, you are messing up the digital data that's actually being stored. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen.
No,
that could be
no.
a kind of doomsday type
Yes,
thing.
of course. Yeah.
Now, I mean, I know in our family we have photographs that are, 100 years old, from the turn of the 19th to 20th century, even a little bit more, of family and relatives that you pull out. And some of the black and white images looked as good as they would have been when they were taken.
Yes.
Whereas the technology that we're using is so quick and instant, you wonder. I mean, there's a system that people are using now that they send an image and it only lasts 10 seconds after it's been delivered and then it's gone.
It's gone.
Well, it's not gone because they're actually storing it digitally somewhere.
Yes, yes.
But there are things to consider. I mean, most people, if I write something, I own the copyright to that. Actually, if I say something, I own the copyright to that. If I take a photograph, I own the copyright to that.
Yes.
But if you upload that to the likes of Facebook, there are certain suggestions now that you may not own, you may not retain that copyright. You've actually passed it on to a third party
My goodness.
who can monetize that. And you don't get the money. They can use it for advertising and promotion. You don't. So there's a kind of, but because people are, I can take my phone up and go snap.
Yeah.
It's instant, it's quick. There's no sense of meaning or purpose to that image. And so they don't have the same value.
Yeah. I was shocked when I saw, for me, a phone was always a phone, nothing else. If I want a camera, I get a proper camera.
Yeah.
And that was the mindset when I had to buy a new phone because my BlackBerry gave up the ghost and was gone forever.
Yeah.
But when I saw the quality of the images coming out on the phone camera, I am astounded. I cannot believe the quality.
Well, there's a new gadget for the Apple phone, iPhone, that plugs into the side, and it actually makes it almost like a video camera with the flip out, so that so the phone actually becomes the screen, and you can shoot 4K with it.
Yeah.
Now, there are practical issues. I mean, eventually, I suppose what they'll do is they'll bolt on a battery so that it keeps the life going, and maybe external things.
Yeah.
But once you start to build that module up, then you may as well have bought the modules in the first place.
Of course.
So there is, when is it a convenience and when is it let's get professional about this? So there are things that need to be sort of considered about.
Your courses that you're sending out across the world, what's your best marketplace? Where are you selling best?
A lot of stuff goes through Udemy itself. So people who are on Udemy who are looking at all, there's about 60, I think there's about 60,000 lecturers on there now.
My goodness.
So it's actually grown quite considerably from what it was. So there's a lot. People may kind of think, is there enough room? But there is, because one of the things I was looking at recently was the fact that everybody has its own style, and people will gather their own tribe, their own audience. And so really what it's actually about is building up your own audience. So there may be other people doing the same courses that I'm offering.
Yeah.
But they're offering their own unique style, as I am, and some people will sort of come to me.
You see,
and some people
that
go to
unique
them.
style is important because I understand it. If you were to say to me who influenced me in my broadcasting career and my talking and writing career, I would say to you Alistair Cook and his letters from America. And everything I've ever done, everything I've ever tried to teach was in that style.
Yeah.
And so that's my way of doing it. Somebody else may go differently.
I think from what's also interesting is from a journalistic perspective and from an academic's perspective, you don't go with just one person.
Yeah.
You actually look for people, a number of people, and if they're saying the same thing, you know that the information is valid. And so again, it is something that's very important that you don't have to believe the one person, and you shouldn't just believe the one person. Find evidence to support what they're saying. And then you'll see whether what they're talking about is quality. And I think that becomes important. But I also think one of the other benefits of sharing is how much you as a lecturer learn as well as the students. It's a learning curve. I'm about to do 3D animation, 3D modeling using a package called Blender. Now I'm passionate about using that software, so it's as much about teaching as it is me learning. I actually want to learn certain techniques myself.
Yeah.
So developing a course is actually a very good way for me to learn new techniques that I want to explore for future projects.
Yes.
So that becomes very useful.
You're reaching into the future almost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you're also keeping a hand on the past. I'm referring to your publication of books in a
Yes.
traditional way.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And it's not given to many in the modern world to kind of start with traditional, medieval almost bookbinding to a
Yeah.
very high quality. But you've done that.
Well, I'm learning the process. At a time where I probably mentally wasn't as well as I could be, learning how to do bookbinding kind of helped to chill me out.
Yes.
And it was something tactile. It was something that you could just focus in on and concentrate on the process. And it wasn't something you could rush. You couldn't do it. It takes time.
Yeah.
So you have to develop patience, and you have to be methodical about the process. And that was something I kind of enjoyed doing. I also enjoyed drawing and painting. So those are things I'd like to get back into as well.
You know, you're wise in the approach, because when I came to you with my project to do the book, when we proceeded on it, the thing you said to me, slow down, slow down.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been naturally given to slowing down. But a year down the road now, and still 6 months to go until we're finished, I can see the value of having slowed down, of seeing the thing from a qualitative point of view, not necessarily a quick as a flash point of view.
Yeah, I think that's important, because I think when you have those kind of products, people will actually cherish them for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Books go into the marketplace, and within a few weeks they're gone, and the next book's coming up, and they lose their value. They become just this little cheap product, and if they don't generate the money, that's the thing. But we're talking about artifacts that could still be around in a good long time. You know, a book well kept, a book well produced could actually last, you know, centuries, literally.
Yeah.
And they could be the artifacts that somebody digs up someday.
Yes,
you know,
indeed.
as a product that is this what they did in the at the beginning of the 21st century?
And we have done this. We have done this in our book, Caritas, the story of Africa and India, and it begins to feel, as we physically have the book at the moment, with its hardback and its stitching and all of this, courtesy of George. We have the feel of the book, and we're able to go through it with a pencil and check it as a book and draw under it. And we'll sit down again together and we'll just go over those final corrections and changes. But we feel antiquity almost at the moment of its birth.
Yes.
It's there, isn't it? It's the techniques of old days.
I think there's an importance of I mean, I've been in television using film for 30 years, film, then tape, and then non-linear, and then, you know, what we have.
I remember you
digital.
well.
Yeah, but you learn certain skills, and and if you want to be proficient at something, you have to keep on practicing and practicing and practicing. But if the techniques keep changing or perceived to have changed, that this is old hat, let's throw it out, and that we're doing something, then you're not actually growing. You're actually standing still. So you're not actually progressing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key thing for people to think about, because you as a person build upon the experiences that you've had during your lifetime, and there's something valuable that you have to offer future generations.
Yes.
But if you're just seen to be this block that's 5 years all the time, then there's nothing important about that. And I think that's something that we need to start looking at.
Well, you're certainly doing it, and as you said, up there at Gullion Media in Drummondtee, you can get books published there. You're a publisher.
Yeah.
You're a book binder.
Bookbinder.
You put the thing together. So that's one area of the operation. The other is the courses done, distance learning through the internet.
Yeah.
All of that's there for the folk.
And the video production as well.
Yes.
And it may seem as though I'm doing lots of different areas, but if you look at each of those different things, I'm using the same set of skills.
Yes.
And quite often, the important aspect of that is building the person's confidence that they can do something they never thought they could do.
Yes.
Whether it's writing a book, publishing a book, doing a video, doing anything they may have set their mind to. Quite often we tend to knock ourselves and think we're not capable. So it really, as an educationalist, my job is to basically convince people that actually there is something valuable in you,
Yeah.
and it's worth sharing that with other people. We
You
just
see,
need
that
to
was
tap
that
into
was
it.
the joy of doing the work with you, George. I didn't feel a client. I didn't feel I was there as a client. I felt I was there being mentored and encouraged and
Yeah.
guided, and
Yeah.
out of that triumvirate of qualities came the product.
Yeah.
And it's working, you know.
I've worked with a lot of youngsters who quite often have been demoralised either through the schooling system, just because of the way it's worked, not necessarily because of the teacher or anything. They've had good people, but quite often our society can make folk feel as though they're not important and they have nothing to say. Whereas I think the opposite, the more we can encourage people to share what they have in whichever form they want to use and to follow their dreams, the richer the world we have. And I think the more there is to offer.
A beautiful way to end the programme today, George. Thank you very, very much indeed.
Thanks very
well
much.
done. As George Kingsnorth, tell the folk once again where they find you.
They can find us on gullionmedia.co.uk or youtree.tv, which is youtree.tv.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Go well.